everybody, and welcome back to Real Horror. This is a show where we discuss the horror movie of the week every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And tonight we're discussing The Return of the Living Dead. And with me tonight is Vinny Art. Vinny,
Hello.
how are you tonight?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm well. It's good to be doing this again, and great to have you with us.
Yes, welcome back. I know everybody. We've missed you. I know you made your return on my stream on Sunday, so that was awesome. That was fun. And
Yes.
looking
Yes.
forward to talking about this one as well.
Yes, this is an awesome movie. And
Yeah.
also with us is Draven. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm finishing up the movie as we're speaking, but it's been ages since I've seen it, so I forgot some of the stuff that happened because the first and the second one kind of blur together for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
With certain scenes, but yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, well, you should be caught up after we're done going scene by scene. So
yeah.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's awesome. And let's see, Mr. Pulp Noir, thanks for being here. Good to see you. Draven is also in the chat and on the panel. And anybody else that's watching now or on the replay, I appreciate it. So yeah, let's get right into it. Do you want me to lead, Vinny, or do you want to take the lead on this?
Yeah, you could start. Yeah, you can start with this one.
Okay,
sure.
So like the title of the stream says, and that I've mentioned, this is The Return of the Living Dead. This came out in 1985. Mm-hmm. And this is directed by Dan O'Bannon. He's actually done work on Alien and a couple other ones that is now escaping me. But yeah, and this was put out by Orion Pictures. And it did well at the box office. The budget was $4 million, and the box office came in at $14 million. So that's pretty good. Probably why it got a sequel.
Oh, for sure. In 85. Yeah, those are good numbers.
Yeah. And Adega, nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Doc.
Yeah, so the movie starts off kind of puts you right into it. We see it's at the UNITA Medical Supply Building, and the date is July 3rd, 1985, and I believe it was 5:30 p.m. And
I think so.
Yeah, and so this is a kid named, his name is Freddie. It's his first day on the job. And his boss is Frank, and Frank is, they're kind of staying late so Frank can show him the job and whatnot. And so he's showing him around, and he's kind of a goofy boss, but he seems like he'd be kind of cool to work for,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he seems kind of laid back, and he's got kind of a Kamala laugh where he'll say something and he'll laugh, and it's like, okay, what are you laughing about, kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, he seems easygoing and stuff, and yeah, so he's showing him all the stuff, and
I'd argue I don't think he'd be a great boss. Look what happened. Sorry.
Yeah, that's actually true. That's actually true. Yeah.
But he was cracking jokes and kind of
yeah,
doing all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and telling them stories and whatnot.
Yeah, in that regard, yeah, he's laid back, and he's not giving the kid a hard time. He's kind of, how some bosses are kind of expect you to know everything where you've never done the job before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Frank seems like a pretty decent dude, and so he's showing him all over the place, and one of the interesting things that I actually learned from this movie was Frank tells Freddy that all the skeletons come from India,
Hmm.
and that's actually true.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
not all, like not 100%, but the vast majority of skeletons do come from India. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because, like, when I hear it, something like that in a movie, I have to look it up and verify.
Yeah,
And
it's funny too because I remembered that after I heard him say it that when I was in high school a biology teacher said that,
oh,
and I was like,
really?
yeah, I was like, that's strange. I had never heard that before, and then yeah, when I was watching the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, I just that rung a bell.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had never heard that before, but we have somebody joining us, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. Thank you for being here.
Brains.
Okay. Yeah, so d- Tommy's little piggy, he can't talk because
His mouth is full.
yeah, he's a zombie. He can't really talk right now.
Yeah,
We got Chuck.
that was the biggest pet peeve I had with this movie.
Oh yeah. Um Chuck, nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I don't think I've seen you here before, so thanks for coming by, and I hope you
Mhm.
enjoy the stream.
Yeah,
And he
welcome.
says, "What? These babies are military sealed?" Oh yes, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. Not
The,
only
the, the
not
beginning
only
of the movie also opens with like a disclaimer, like saying that the people in this are like real or whatever.
yeah,
They're real people and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. We Chuck, we're not only going to be talking about that, but I actually have a clip to show you guys of that too, because that was such an
Please.
awesome part.
Mm-hmm.
And Lion Ratton, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey, buddy. Yeah.
So yeah, we were just talking about how Frank seems like a cool boss and stuff, and then
Mhm.
the skeletons coming from India, and then so after he's like, oh, and then another thing, he shows them the cadaver in like that cold room.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So we'll hear more about that in a little while. The cadaver.
Yep.
Yeah. So they go upstairs and so Freddy's sitting at the desk across from Frank and he asks him, "What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen?" And that's when Frank starts telling him, like, well, he starts off with, "Have you ever seen the movie Night of the Living Dead?" And he starts saying, like, "Well, did you know that really happened?" And and Freddy's like, "What are you talking about? That's just a movie." And Frank goes, "Well, yeah, I mean, they changed, all the stuff, but it's based on what real events." And he's telling him about how the army, like,
Covered it up.
yeah, there was a cover up because the army contracted Darrow Chemical to make 2,4,5 trioxin. And that's actually, I looked that up as well. And trioxin is one part of Agent Orange, which is a defoliant. But I don't want to get too far off. But yeah, the Night of the Living Dead, what they were what Frank was talking about is there was a worker at the Philadelphia State Hospital, and he, like, working down in the morgue, and I guess there was a bunch of that toxic chemical stuff that ended up, like, leaking down into everything, and it made contact with the bodies, and they started to, like, jump around as if they were coming alive. And that freaked the guy out, and Darrow Chemical threatened him that if he ever told the story that they'd sue him. But that is supposedly the basis of Night of the Living Dead.
Yep.
And I did look this story up, and there are some facts that are changed around, but someone did report this happening.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I
What-
just want.
Someone reported that there were bodies that were coming back to life.
Yeah, he said that's what he witnessed. That it was like he was trying to get away from like these dead bodies. Yeah.
So it was true then what they said based on events that happened in real life.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. It's a little like some of the facts are fudged a little bit.
Mhm.
Like the dates are different. Like I think this what happened to this guy in the morgue happened in actually 1951, not 69, I think is what Frank said in the movie.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So they changed a bit around probably for legal reasons,
Yeah,
but
I bet
yeah.
Fauci was involved.
Wow.
Want to say hi to a couple of people. Tina Bojan, nice to see you.
Hey, Tina.
Oh,
Hey.
no problem. You gotta be where you gotta be. Thank you for showing up, though. Tommy is in the chat and also with us on the panel, or not anymore.
Yeah. He
So
said in the
sad.
private he doesn't have a mic, so
Yeah. Tommy can't talk right now.
He should have committed to the bit that he
Mhm.
he can't. He's not gonna speak with his mouth full.
Is this the one with the liquid? Yes.
Mhm.
Soul Assassin. It is.
Yeah, the tar zombie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
King of the Squibs. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Oh yeah.
Yes, exactly, Adega. And Solar Wooden, thank you for stopping by.
Hello.
All right, so yeah, so that was I thought that was really interesting because when that came up on the screen at the beginning of the movie, like this is a true story, that type stuff. Hello, welcome back, Tommy.
Oh, I think it's working.
It's working.
Oh, yeah.
We can
There you
hear you. Yeah, I was like, what? They're just saying this for, the movie's sake. But yeah, I looked it up and it kind of blew my mind, actually.
Yeah, it does. It makes you think for sure.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was on the right path with my project, City of Venus. But I'm so sorry.
I know.
We'll talk about that later.
I know. Yeah, well, definitely we have to talk about that because it's related. And yes, Solo Wood, and thank you. Please smash the like button and subscribe.
Mhm.
Absolutely, I would love
Do it.
that.
Well, I don't know if you guys had seen this one, but there was actually another Night of the Living Dead. It was like what was it? Reimagined or something. It was a 3D version where they kind of like retelling the story from the very beginning of the Night of the Living Dead, and they were actually talking about the containers and the bodies and the guy doing weird stuff in the morgue.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I never heard of that.
It's a newer movie, but it's
Okay.
supposed to be almost like a prequel to Night of the Living Dead.
Huh.
Oh, cool. Hey, Tony. Thanks
Hey,
for
Tony.
stopping by.
Oh shit. Yeah, he smelt our brains. He knew.
Nice. Yeah, Tommy, you got to definitely send that link to us because I would like to check that out. But yeah, so Frank is telling Freddie all about the backstory to this and all that, and of course, then he's like, "You want to go see?" And that's why I think he's kind of like a cool boss because he's like kind of getting into trouble and stuff.
Kinda, yeah. But because that's the thing. How do you know? There's no proof. He goes, yeah, there is. He goes, what's the proof? They accidentally mailed them some of the bodies there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's right. Because of the Department of Transportation had a mix-up, and instead of the barrels going to the army where they were supposed to, they ended up at You Need a Medical Supply. and they just never reported it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Freddie says, "Hey Frank, you want to go see it?" And of course, they're like, "Yeah, let's go." And yeah, so they go down and check them out, and he says that these have been here for like 14 years. And yeah, and
Because they never reported them.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the name of the movie is Night of the Living Dead 3D Reanimation,
Okay.
and it's supposed to be a prequel.
Interesting.
All right.
When did that
Yeah.
come out?
What was that? 2012.
Oh,
But
wow.
it's a prequel to the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's a prequel to that. So, but technically, it could still kind of fall in line with the original one if you're looking at it. I guess technically, because if you ever seen Diary of the Dead from George Romero, his stuff doesn't matter anymore anyway. Or what was that other one? Surviving Island.
That's actually on
Dead,
Tubi too, I think.
Surviving the Dead or something like that by Romero. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah, the Romero movies that I like are Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead.
Yeah, after that got bad, Land of the Dead.
Yeah, I didn't see those. I didn't go further than those three. Rise of the Living Dead. Cool. I don't think I've heard of that. Oh, Stig, thanks for stopping by. All right. So yeah, they get down to the barrels and they're checking them out, and so so Freddie opens like the top part of the barrel, where it's kind of, there's like a window under it and you can see inside the barrel. And so he opens that up and Freddie's looking in and he's like, whoa. And it shows us that there's a corpse in there. And he's like, is this sturdy? And everything like that. And Frank's like, of course it is. This is made by the Army Corps of Engineers. And then he gives it a robust tap, and which breaks it was already started to kind of rust at one of the seal points. And so right there is where it breaks and all this gas releases
instantly as soon as his hand hit it.
Yep. Yeah. And and so all the gas just releases and they end up just on the floor. And that's the opening scene to the movie. That whole.
Oh shit! Look at that! You say that thing was alive?
So they say.
Yeah, as soon as he hits that, they get knocked out. They keep coughing, pass out, and then I like the directing on that too, because you start to follow the gas that it's going up into the ventilation system, and then you see that body in the freezer, and it's it's starting to move.
Yeah. That was a really cool. The way that they filmed that, you see all the gas getting into everything, into the ventilation system, and there's obviously no recycling of air. It just kind of keeps going through the building, from the basement, there's no outside air coming in.
Yeah.
So it just stays in the building, and
that's not up to code.
Yeah, no, OSHA would not approve. Yeah, so then it gets to the where the cadaver is stored, and you see the cadavers start shimmying and stuff, and and then they wake up, and they're coughing and hacking and stuff, and they go look in the barrel, and it's empty. There's just oil at the bottom, and Freddy thinks that he must have just kind of melted when all the gas came out. He
Yeah.
just like melted.
Yeah, when the air hit it.
Yeah, like that's a weird take, but
Mhm.
yeah. So they're like coughing and hacking and like just dying, and they're leaving that area, and they make it up to where he was originally showing him, like where the skeletons are and like the split dogs and all that stuff. He was where he was showing him like what he would be doing on the job and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so they head up there, and they're like they start hearing something, and it's like it sounds like a dog is in the room. So they walk over to the sound, like closer to the sound, and it's one of those split dogs that came to life, and Frank starts flipping out and they're like, we gotta kill him. And the way he's reacting, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's flipping out, but he's like, oh no. And it's hilarious. And he takes a crutch.
Starts beating it in the head.
He takes a crutch to kill the dog, but he beats it with like the soft part of the crutch. And the dog yelps.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, what the hell are you doing?
Oh my god. That was something else. That was funny. Yeah, so then so they're still freaking out, like Frank is absolutely losing his mind. Like he can't stop, like, no, what are we gonna do? And then all of a sudden the door is kind of like shaking, and they hear the noise coming out of that cadaver room. And they're like, what should we do? And Frank goes, lock it. So they go over, and that's when they locked it, right? Yeah, they did lock it. And then they go upstairs to where the desk area is, and they're like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And did you guys notice on the back of the wall in that like desk area, it said something? It looked like an eye test chart, but there was something written on it.
I didn't notice, no.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it said it written on it was Bert is a slave driver, and I couldn't read the rest. It was too small for me to read. But yeah, I thought it was funny.
Nice.
Yeah, so they end up.
That confused me too, because it looked like he did bite him, and they were making those sounds, but he never got bit.
Yeah, it was like he was just freaking out that it was on him.
But they had like that kind of like he had already bit into him. It was weird.
Yeah, Bert is a slave driver and a cheap, and I don't know what else.
Cheapskate?
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know, but yeah, I thought Bert was okay though. At any rate, yeah. So they called Bert and said, "Oh yeah, well, I love how so they decided to call Bert because he owns the company, and before Frank gets on the phone with him, he like calms himself down and like gets himself like all set up, like being okay, like, okay, I can do this. And he calls Bert and he's like, hello, Bert. Yeah, there's been an accident. So Bert ends up coming down, and they go downstairs. Bert starts telling him how stupid he is and stuff like this. And it was so freaking hilarious. And so the cadaver in the room is still like, going at the door. So Bert's like, okay, so what are we gonna do? And so they decide that they're gonna open up the room, but they're gonna bash, because of in Night of the Living Dead, they took them out by hitting them in the brains.
Mhm.
And so they decide that he gives Frank a fireman axe, or what kind of axe was that?
Yeah, it looked like a fireman axe. It had
Yeah.
one side it was like a with the pointy end instead of just the axe itself.
Yeah.
A fireman's axe always has the pike on the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Height, that's it.
Yeah. Was it a pickaxe?
It was a pickaxe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he gives him one of these, and and he's telling Frank to like man up and to calm himself down and stuff like that, because he's absolutely losing his mind. And he hands Frank the pickaxe, and Frank's like, oh no, what am I gonna do with this? And he's like, as soon as we open the door, you're gonna brain him. And so they open the door. The cadaver runs after Bert. Yeah. And is like mauling him, and it sounded like when he came out of the room that he yelled brains, but it was almost kind of you almost couldn't really understand it, but I think that's what he was trying to say. So yeah, he's mauling Bert, and they end up getting him off Bert, and Bert takes the pickaxe and like slams it down into the cadaver's head.
And he hit it so hard it went through the skull and pinned him into the concrete. But the body was still moving like nothing happened. Like he was still, the arms were all over the place, and the guys were on top of him. Like, what the hell did we do? What? We hit him in the brain. He should have died. Why isn't he dead?
Yeah.
So they try to come. He goes, "What do we do? What do we do?" And Bert grabs a saw, and he cuts off. He goes into the neck, and then the body gets up and hits them. And
yes.
Oh, that was crazy.
That was so good. And yeah, okay, yeah, it's right here.
Get him off, Frank! What the hell's going on, Bert? The brain! The brain! I hit the brain! Then do something else, for goddammit, Dale! Hold him down, Frank. Up and down. What are you gonna do? Be a man, Frank, be a man. Son of a bitch. Hurry up! Right. How are we gonna kill it?
I love the acting.
This is marked under comedy as well, though.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. I absolutely love the acting. Like Frank is just absolutely losing his mind to the point where like Bert is like, "What's the matter with you?" Yes, this is our comedy, Adega.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Bet when they got up that morning, they wouldn't be fighting a naked zombie in the evening. Yeah, I doubt they thought that.
We're gonna have the same conversations before you know it. Just saying.
I know.
It hurts being a zombie pig. I can still smell your digits.
Oh shit.
So they're freaking out. They don't know what the heck they're gonna do, and so then Bert comes up with the genius idea that he knows a guy that works in the morgue, and he's like a friend. He's a friend, and so they're like, "But how are we gonna get him there?" And then Bert's like, "Get me the saw." So they put him into pieces and put him in bags, and they head over to the morgue.
Yep.
And And yeah, they make it over to
Well, technically, that whole portion is the morgue. They actually head over to the incinerator.
yeah. Yes, they wanted to incinerate the body, and
Mhm.
they were, since Bert knew the guy that worked at the morgue, that was like their way in to do that.
Yep.
Which-
and
It's
his-
kind of odd though, because most places, that have a morgue like that, they don't always have an incinerator.
no, not all no, that's right. Not all of them do.
Yeah, crematorium. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was really interesting to me and kind of great, the guy who played the one who was doing the embalming and all that stuff, he was prepping the bodies. That dude was the hitman in Weekend at Bernie's, and that guy was fantastic.
Was he really?
In that movie? Yeah.
I knew he looked
He's-
familiar.
Yeah, he's the one who he killed Bernie, and then he sees him running around with those two guys. He's like, "I killed him. How's he alive? How's he alive?" That's why I was laughing even harder because it's like, "Oh yeah, I know his other role."
Oh, cool.
That's funny.
Yeah, he was good. I saw Weekend at Bernie's, man, ages ago. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't
But
But
remember.
what are you talking about? Have you not seen him in Office?
I like him too because he's like the morgue guy that like is super into his job, like
Yeah.
more than he probably should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's
like really
Bernie.
comfortable with. Yeah,
Hmm.
he's like really comfortable with what he's doing, and like, yeah, he just. Oh, did you see when he was making a coffee and like his hands were all bloody, but he made the coffee anyway?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so nasty.
That's like an Italian butcher. Yeah, I used to see it all the time in New York as a kid. They get that cigarette dangling out of their mouth, they chop.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
meat, and then they
Yep.
go to drink their espresso. Oh,
Yeah. So
yeah, and he often carries in a morgue. That's right, and that's how he was a Weekend at Bernie's. He kept flipping out. He's like, "How many times am I gonna kill this guy?" And he kicked open the door and he unloaded his gun. He's like, he felt relief.
yeah, I love that part when because he's listening to music, so he doesn't hear Bert come in, and he startles Ernie and Bert and Ernie, and he startles him, and yeah, Ernie like draws his gun in his face. Bert's like, yeah, you're kind of quick on the draw there.
Hmm.
And it was all special too. It had like the pearl handle and shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that was
Awesome.
good. Yeah, so they end up like they're trying to like get him to let them use like the incinerator without telling him
Mhm.
Yeah.
the
What was in
true
the bag?
story.
Yeah.
They're a
And
bunch of rabid gophers,
Weasels.
Weasels. That's it.
yeah, yeah. So he's like,
It's funny. I had a very similar story right off the set of Rust where we had a problem too, and I told them it was gophers, but they wound up doing an investigation anyway.
Oh man.
yeah, he wants. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he's telling Ernie this story. Like he's like, yeah, they're rabid weasels, and Ernie's and Bert. Now I'm getting Bert and Ernie mixed up.
Ernie.
So Bert's telling Ernie that these rabid weasels, he needs to like incinerate them, and Ernie's like, that's kind of cruel.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, why don't
Yeah,
you
he's like, why don't you call animal control? Have them take
Mhm.
care of it. He's like, we can't do that. And it's like, what are you talking about? At least let me put them out of their misery. Like, and you can see like the satisfaction on his face that he's gonna get to shoot them. Like, no, you can't do that. They won't die.
Yeah, he's like, and everything. This was well written because everything that he was like, what do you mean? Why don't you just call animal control? And then he's like, well, I can't do that because it's my reputation. He's like, well, you work at a medical supply. No one's gonna think anything. And and he's like, he's saying all the things that I could picture
Logic.
someone in that position saying.
Mhm.
I love that. That's a well written dialogue.
Yeah.
And
And well acted because he was very natural at everything he was doing.
Mhm.
yes, this movie is well acted all around.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, so so it eventually happens where they just have to fess up, and he tells Ernie the real story. And how did so yeah, he's like, let me see. And so one of the hand gets out of the bag and grabs Ernie's
Yeah, they
leg.
go to show him one, yeah, and it was the
Yeah.
arm, and it just like it like lunged at him,
Yeah.
and it grabbed onto his pant leg.
Yeah.
And ripped his pant leg
Yeah.
when they were getting it off.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah. So and yeah, so they had to pry it off, so they end up doing that, and then they're in the other room, and Ernie's like gathering himself, and he's like, and Bert's like, I'm really sorry about this, but he's like, basically, like, now you understand why we need to incinerate them, and he's like, I'll owe you one and stuff, and so that makes Ernie kind of like think, and he's like, okay, let's take care of your problem. And so they end up putting them all into the incinerator, and and that ends up precipitating the whole
Mhm.
like living dead situation.
Yeah, because the gas started going out as it was burning out of the furnace and going into the atmosphere, and it was all cloudy and stormy. So once it hit them clouds and the rain started happening, it was just all coming back down. And yeah,
Yeah, and
the
all while
rain
this
was
is
carrying it.
happening, the Frankie's buddies, which is basically like a punk rock band, Freddy's buddies, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So that's how it happens. It ends up getting all that, like, they call it acid rain.
Mhm.
And I actually like how they call it acid rain, because that was a thing in the 80s. They had us like convinced that
Yep.
acid rain was like you'd melt in the rain if you went for a walk in the rain.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that was cool. I like how they did that.
I found something for you. So the eye chart, I looked it up. So Bert is a slave driver and a cheap SOAB, son of a bitch, who is going bald too. Ha ha.
That's great.
Nice.
But you know what? On this note too, because it is interesting how they did this, and that they went with gas and then water and all that. Like,
Mhm.
We should probably cover the crazies as well at some point. Like
Sure.
I like that remake. I thought was great, and it was sort of
Yeah.
the same way. It's there was an accident, and basically, like, a plane went down and caused, like, it hit the water, and that water was being used for the town.
Now,
And,
here's a question though, Vinny.
What's that?
Do we watch both and do a comparison?
I never seen the original.
1973. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
available on Tubi.
Oh, nice. I never seen the original either. I only saw the one in 2010.
Yeah, with Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
chick from Pitch Black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I prefer to do it. If we're gonna do a movie,
Mhm.
like I'd like to compare the original and the remake, unless it's quite different. Like, I wouldn't do that with The Thing
Mhm.
from '85, because the thing, what's it called, from outer
The Thing
space?
from Another Planet.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare those, because they're just, to me, they're just so different.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're vastly different movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm down for it if we want to do the crazies, original and more modern. We can
Yeah.
do that.
I like doing that, because I like to give the original its due.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that all that poison, everything makes it into the local atmosphere and rains down and conveniently rains down onto the cemetery, because that's where basically the morgue is like right in the cemetery.
Mhm.
And this is why you never have your crematorium right next to your cemetery for this reason.
When he's
And
right,
this
he's
is-
right.
Yep.
Yep.
This is where the guys' buddies are. Like they broke into because they're waiting for him to get off work. They
Yep.
broke into the cemetery, and one of my probably favorite scenes out of this movie, where what's her name? Trash.
Trash.
She gets naked and is dancing around and shit, and then she even predicts her own death later
Yes.
on.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
No,
Yep.
how could you say that's the best part of the movie? The best part of the movie.
Lena
happens
Quigley,
a little
man,
bit-
Lena Quigley, you can't go
The
wrong.
best part happens later when the paramedics show up.
Oh, that is good too.
Yeah, that part with trash, that's an important part, because so the cemetery that
I agree.
Mhm.
so the cemetery that they're all partying at is called Resurrection Cemetery. How quaint.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're partying in there, and Trash is a weird person, and
Mhm.
she's morbid, and
Mhm.
she's like, do you ever think about the worst way to die? And she's just like weird and stuff.
It's funny because I there's people when I was growing up in high school that were kind of like that.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's funny.
they like
yeah.
to like walk around graveyards and like do all kinds of stupid shit like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Basically seeing who could be the most edgiest of edgelords.
Yeah.
You beat them all, right?
I did, yes.
I knew it.
Well, here's a funny one for you. So I'm pretty sure everybody remembers the original poster work for this, where they got like the half skeleton looking girl on one side. I never really could tell if that was supposed to be that little half skeleton or if that was supposed to be Trash, but they actually did have a secondary poster version with Trash
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that punk rock guy standing right behind the tombstone. So is the original one with them supposed to be them as zombies?
I don't know which one is the original.
The original one is where they're literally just like two skeletons standing behind the tombstone with
Okay.
the zombie one spray paint and Return of the Living Dead on the tombstone. That was the original, because I actually still have that original poster. It was sitting on the wall at my dad's house from when I put it up back in the 80s. But
Wow.
yeah, I still have the original one. But
Okay.
like I said, yeah, they did do a secondary version.
That poster, so that is part of my thumbnail. I kind of edited it a bit. If you look at the YouTube thumbnail, I used that. I took out the skeletons and I just have the spray paint guy. But yeah. Oh my, we're seeing into eternity.
Oh, I never seen that.
Inception.
Okay, so the one I used is the spray paint guy is a little bit different.
Yeah, this is actually the half zombie chick.
Okay,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Hmm.
They did a 30th anniversary cover too, which has the tar zombie in the background, and
Oh,
then
nice.
has Trash in the foreground, with a heart in her hand.
Then they have that one.
Yep,
Metal
I
tin
like
one.
that one too.
Oh,
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, that's one of those tin signs. I like those.
Mhm.
nice.
Nice. It's a good price too.
No, Soul Assassin. I never had a graveyard phase. I'm not afraid of graveyards, but I never felt the need to hang out in them or anything like that either.
Hmm.
Have we seen Night of the Animated Dead, a cartoon
No.
version of?
Mm-mm.
You have, Vinny?
No, never even
Oh, I
heard.
thought-
Holy crap!
Yeah, that's interesting. If you have a link for that Soul Assassin, I'd be interested in that.
Hell yeah!
Okay, so yeah, we left off with it raining, the toxic rain.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
then-
and Bert's all, thank you, man. You took care of everything. Now, we don't have to worry about nothing.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Frank and Freddie are getting sicker and sicker, and
Mhm.
I like how they're doing it because they're changing like the makeup of their face, like they're starting to look more pale,
Mhm.
but they're doing it gradually.
Yeah.
It's really well done. The makeup is good in this movie.
I like when they start cramping up.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. So
I feel like them every morning.
Tell me about it.
Same.
After we're done with streams, I feel like that. Trying to
Mhm.
stand up. No,
Me
but
too.
Ernie, I like that. How he kind of like he goes over casually to the phone, and it's the same way. He's very, straightforward. Well, we need some help. 2 people were poisoned. No, I don't know what kind of poison it is. Like the way that he's delivering his lines, he's very, very calm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of like he stays in control of himself, even though this is like a dire situation.
Right.
Yeah, he does a good job. And the paramedics are like, well, I mean, can you like find out because your friends' lives kind of depend on it?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, he's like, well, maybe tomorrow or something. Well, no, that's not going to happen.
I don't remember how the lines went, but yeah. So
Yeah.
no worries. Don't. He gave the address and everything. Yeah, they're on their way. Everything's gonna be okay. And then when the rain starts happening, like all of Freddie's like punk friends, the game was coming down on them. The girl, she did her little morbid dance and everything. Like she took off her clothes and she's like, with her death, she goes. She had imagined it of a bunch of old people or old guys taking her out all at once or whatever and ripping her apart. And as she's saying this, like she starts taking off her clothes, and the rest of them are like going, "Oh, here she is again. She's getting naked again." Like this girl, she's a very free spirit. So they started playing the music that they had there in their boombox, and they had like their little road flares, and it's giving her like a little private. Like a little dance, and she's dancing on top of a crypt, like it's a nightclub.
Yep.
Yeah, her body surprised me for 85. Whew,
She looks great.
In 1985, yeah, you didn't normally see, and no grass on the playing field either.
Well, originally, I was looking up the thing. Originally, they wanted to have her have a full bush, and they were like, "That's too much," so they had her shave, and then they're like, well, now we can see it. And they're like, that's even more. So then they had her do that part that she rips off. They had her do that. But yeah.
I love how
really?
you did the research on that.
Oh, no.
know.
It just came up when I was looking at the
Sure,
scene or whatever.
It just came up. Wink, wink.
Yep.
Wow.
That's
So
funny,
so they couldn't decide what to do with her bush, so they just shaved it all off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it kind of looked weird, but I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, for 85, if you've seen any from the 70s and the 80s when they started showing more nudity and stuff, everyone had like that freaking porn star bush.
Yeah, but her like she was completely like just like skin. There was like like I don't know. It was just to me it just looked weird. I just can't explain it.
Yeah, she was ahead of her time.
Yeah, she's also in Night of the Demons.
Yeah,
and
I didn't like that.
She's nude in that too.
But it was crazy. That whole scene was kind of crazy because then when it starts raining, they're all running, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's burning!" They get into the car. She's like, "It's like acid rain," and she's like, "Quick, give me a towel or something." They're like, "Shut up, we don't have a towel." And she's fighting with the girl to take. She had like an extra piece of clothing or something, and she's like, she wouldn't give it to her. She's like, "Let her dry off." It's freaking something that they thought was like acid rain. So these people were going to change anyway. Let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, but it was going to take more time. But it was crazy like that. Like how they did it was pretty cool. And I like that. Like the original Resident Evil games, they borrowed so much from this type of stuff too, and how they did certain things.
Yeah, well, this
like
movie in particular set like basically was the first for a couple of things, and I'll get into that at the after we're done basically going through the scenes. But yeah, there's some stuff about this movie that I want to talk about, like about the zombies and other stuff like that. We can totally get into that.
Yep.
Yeah, because this movie was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of cool stuff in it. Like I said,
Yeah.
I only had a couple of issues with it, but one primarily was the brains. Like the only ones that should have been talking were Frank and Freddy.
Tree
Up
Rock
until his-
Creations says he's never seen this movie. Oh, Tree Rock, I think I love this movie. I would recommend it. I think it's fun. It's a comedy horror or horror comedy, however you want to say it. And I think it's a fun watch. I really do. And it actually, there's some zombie tropes that actually came from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be getting into those at the end, after we're done doing the scene by scene stuff. But yeah, anyway, thank you for being here.
The sequel is pretty good too. Not as good as the original, obviously, but it's still pretty good.
Don't waste your time with the third one.
Oh yeah. 3 forward, they're all pretty bad.
I didn't see the sequel.
But the sequel has the two main guys, like from the beginning, they get turned into zombies, and they're different characters.
Yeah.
I forget which one. Which
Yeah.
one did they do the damn Thriller dance in? Was that 3?
Oh, I don't remember.
I just remember that was just so goofy.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think the guy from the Reanimator movies ends up being in like the later one too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, did you know that
Yeah.
they have a Reanimator sequel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's Bride of Reanimator. I didn't
It's
care
a-
for it.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so now so we talked about the paramedics and then okay.
Well, they were just getting
Paramedics.
Yes, the paramedic. Because as the rain and stuff was happening, and then you could see as they ran into the car, the group of people there. You see the water saturating through the floor, and it's going through the dirt. Like that was a pretty good scene. Like the way that they did it, like they cut out like the piece of grass, whatever, kind of showed how it's going down, and it goes through the coffin, and you see it like hitting the feet of like the corpses on the ground, and then the paramedics show up at the crematory area there, and they go to test out Frank and Freddy, and they're like, let me borrow your stethoscope. I think mine's broken. He's like, I don't think it's the equipment. He goes, what do you mean? I'm not hearing a heart either. And then like they're checking their other machines. You have one of the like portable EKGs or one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And like nothing's coming up. The temperature they took is like 70 degrees Celsius. And Freddy's like, what does that mean? That's room
Fahrenheit.
temperature. Yeah. He's like, yeah. It was, that's room temperature. And like they're discussing like these guys are technically dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's one way to say that someone is passed away, is assumed room temperature.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was funny that they actually put that in there.
Yeah, they were freaking out.
Yeah. And that was wild.
Yeah.
They're like, what does all this mean? Like they're not registering any heartbeat, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what does all this mean? It's like, well, we only see this in dead people. And they're like, are we dead? And they're like, well, and then I think it was either Bert or Ernie said, well, let's not jump to conclusions.
Yeah, because he's still talking. He's like, you can't be talking if you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah,
Again,
you can't
he
be
kept trying.
dead.
Yeah, he kept trying to put more logic in there, which I thought was good.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think they were trying to make Frank and Freddy feel a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Frank flips the fuck out. He's like, he's just getting so sick. Like he's like, he tries to run outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like barfing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like, when was it where Ernie, like they go to look at him because Freddy's in so much pain. He goes to take a look at him, like, and he lifts up the back of his shirt, and he says, like, he goes, "There's the blood's pooling."
Yes.
Yeah, that's when the gang like ends up making their way to
Oh,
the
you're right. You're right.
the
Yeah,
crematorium. But before that scene, when they surprise the guy in the crematorium or in the morgue or whatever, he's like working on this corpse, and he's working on like dealing with the rigor mortis and stuff. So like when that scene happens where he like pulls him over and sees the thing, his like eyes light up. He's like all excited and shit because he was working on something similar. Because like I said earlier, he's super into his job, like more than anybody should be.
Yeah.
And at that time, when the paramedics are checking on Frank and Freddie, Tina is at the Unita Medical Supply Building looking for Freddie, but he's obviously not there. And then she runs into the oil zombie who later
because the rain when it started raining and all that, they split up at a certain point.
Yep.
And when the rain was coming down, she kind of broke in. She got in there, and that thing kind of came out of nowhere. The tar one.
Yeah,
well, there's something else about that is kind of funny, and I don't know if anybody else caught it. It was one of the Romero movies. I can't remember if I'm pretty sure it was Day of the Dead, because that's where they were doing like the experiments with like the different zombies, the soldiers and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that they had one of them stuffed in a damn drum just like that.
I think you're right. Yeah. That rings some bells.
It did seem familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at the medical supply. So right now, okay. So the paramedics are with Frank and Freddie. And at the same time, all the punks are at the medical supply building because Tina was there and they heard Tina yelling because Tina was looking for Freddie.
Mm-hmm.
And she's yelling because she ran into the tar man, the oil zombie, and she's freaking out and she's trying to hide and stuff. So they run and they try to catch up to her, and I had to do that.
Heck
Yeah, he should not have spoke at all.
I'm fine with the speaking because like what was it, Dawn of the Dead, where they had the one that they're like it's either Dawn or Day of the Dead where they're like trying to communicate with him, and the one actually like speaks and stuff.
That's Day of the Dead.
Yeah, so like I was fine with it because that's basically what they do in those movies as well.
Well, the interesting thing is that Day of the Dead, I think it was Day of the Dead, and this movie came out at the same time.
Okay.
And this movie's success, well, this movie is why Day of the Dead didn't do better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it stole the thunder.
I always preferred the Return of the Living Dead movies over the normal Night of the Living Dead movies anyway, so.
Oh, that you can't say that here.
I'm sorry, like this first one and the second one, I don't know. They just like maybe it's the camp that I like about it.
Yeah.
But I watched the first one of the original, the black and white one, and it was like whatever. I was never a big zombie guy anyway, so.
Damn you, Draven.
Oh, dude.
You're gone, but I can still smell your digits.
He does that a lot on our streams.
I do. Cool. I'm bad. There's bad take Tina Bojan. I'm bad take Draven, I guess.
You're almost
you know what,
bad
though?
as Justin Proper.
Jeez. No, but I was gonna say it, though. It is refreshing though to see different people's takes like that for sure. It's good you have your own view on it. Although the other
not
thing is right.
I know. The other thing is though, like it's a refreshing take on the zombie genre to begin with. These Return of the Living Dead movies as well. And it's not just the same old from zombie movies. And I will say The Walking Dead has like tainted my my experience when it comes to zombie stuff. So
Yeah, they destroyed it. They destroyed the market.
yep.
Oh man. Okay, so all right, we can discuss this after. But
Oh, the
Frankie
Walking Dead
says,
stuff. Oh.
but Frankie says brains. That was the catchphrase. And you know that
Mhm.
this movie is responsible for the trope that zombies eat brains.
Mhm.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Soul Assassin, walking or running zombies. Let's save this question for after because, yeah, let's definitely discuss this.
I think that is a double-edged question.
Yeah. And yeah, because people get heated on both sides, but I
Mhm.
definitely I want to talk about that.
For sure.
Yeah, so okay, so all the punks get chased out. Well, what's left of the punks get chased out. They do rescue Tina, and then they end up making it to the morgue. But before they make it to the morgue, they stop at like this mausoleum type place. And something unfortunate happens.
Yep.
R.I.P. Trash.
You know what? Real quick, Miguel A. Nunez Jr.
Yeah,
Go
was
on.
part of that gang.
Spider.
You know where I remember him from, and I remember seeing this, but I also remember there was a TV show called Tour of Duty. It was about Vietnam,
Oh.
and that was where I always associated with him first. And then it was a long time before I remembered that he was actually in this movie too.
Oh,
Nice.
cool.
Friday the 13th is where I remember him from. But,
I don't remember him in Friday the 13th. Which
yeah,
one?
he's the one that has the chili or whatever, and then is in, I forget which one it is, but he gets in the porta potty and he's like trying to take a dump, but then somebody's like rattling around. Obviously, it's Jason, and then he gets impaled because they use a
Okay.
thing. Yeah,
He survived, didn't he?
I'm not sure if he survives or not.
Okay. All right. So, but yeah, let's not get off track.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's so easy to do with these movies, but
Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah. So, all right. Now let's see.
But Trash dies and is not, but is not
Yeah.
forgotten.
Well, someone else died first. The leader of their little pack when
Mhm.
they went to go save Tina.
Yeah, I showed that. His suicide. He got eaten by the tar man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
And then
that was
that's
the
when
other thing
they-
kind of. That's the other thing. Like a little bit on my nerves. How they just kind of like he's like bites into his skull like an apple, and then boom, instant death. Like
Yeah.
Well, I
Well-
mean, there is technically a thing where we actually, as people, actually have a safety catch. So you won't do something that you probably could do, because your body's going to react to possibly hurting itself. I'm not saying that teeth are going to go through skull, but a bite could actually do a lot more damage if you don't have those kind of like governors that your brain puts on you.
Mhm.
mhm. That makes
You could
sense.
probably, I think you could probably crack a skull by biting it. I don't think you could break it. You might be able to.
I don't think so either.
Split
That's
it,
what.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, it would probably be the loss of blood that would do it the most because
Mhm.
I think isn't your skull extremely hard to break
Yeah.
except for certain areas like the temples.
except for people who are smooth brain idiots, they got really thin skulls.
God.
Yeah, and kids, because like they're not fully formed, so that's why
Mhm.
kids always have
Yes.
to be extra. You got to make sure that they're safe or whatever. But yeah, once you hit
Yeah.
like a certain age or whatever, yeah, it becomes very, very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, so we see Trash get mauled, and what's funny is that it's sort of quite similar to how she described the worst way to die, with a
Mhm.
bunch of
Mhm.
old people mauling at her and stuff.
Yep. Ripping
And
her clothes off and stuff.
yeah, yep. So
Mhm.
that was yeah, that was sad. Okay, so R.I.P. to Trash, and then meanwhile, we see that like corpses are coming alive all over the place, and Ernie and the gang are basically now everybody who is alive is like like of the group that we see in the movie. They're all at the morgue now,
Mhm.
and the corpses, they're trying to get in, but they end up boarding up all the windows. It's funny because after they're done doing that, I think it was Spider was like, "How many damn windows do you have in this place?" It's like that's totally so like somebody
Mhm.
would say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, so the paramedics are actually outside at this point as well, and we see a zombie eating the brains of someone. So that goes to the point that goes to what we were just talking about, like about how the bite gets into the skull. Like they, for some reason, somehow they were able to get through the skull and eat the brains.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe it was. Yeah, I have no idea how they end up doing that. They're after you
Yeah,
die,
'cause
your teeth
Ernie.
must get.
Well, I was gonna say because Ernie makes it a point too later. He says, yeah, no, because they have the same strength as us because they were trying to tie down the half one.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, it's they're not super powered.
yeah, yeah. So that's definitely a mystery. I can see like them getting into the heads of people that have been like rotting, but then there's no brains to get to because those are gone already.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a bit of an inconsistency, but we're not gonna dwell on that.
Right.
This
Until
Well,
later.
it'd be the same thing if they went to a Democratic convention.
This is true. No brains.
You're all safe.
Did you see that
Um,
one clip
No,
where that
I
lady?
don't think so.
Where that lady, she's like, you're in the Capitol building. We gave you a map. Like, oh, you didn't see that?
No.
It's like right there. They're like, whoever filmed it was like a foot away from them. He's, oh, thank you.
Oh, you'll
But
have
we'll
to
talk about
you'll
that
have to
later.
show it to me after.
Speaking of the Night of the Living Dead.
Mhm. They explain
So-
why they want brains too when they capture that
Yes.
old
yes.
lady.
Yep, we're just about there too. Yeah, so outside we see the zombie eating the brains of someone, and like the ambulances, the doors are open and
Mhm.
the drivers are like they're dead, they're being eaten and stuff. And one of the zombies that are like right next to the van eating someone hears here's the radio chatter, and he gets on the like the little thing, whatever you
The
call
CB.
that. Yeah. And
Send more paramedics.
yes. Yep. And that was actually smart because that ended up being a trap. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yep.
So these zombies are smart.
Later they do it with the cops.
Yes. Later they
Yep.
they say send more cops.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then inside we see like they go back to like they pan over back into the morgue, and the zombies are basically like making it through, and they capture a female zombie that has basically chewed Scuzz's she chewed Scuzz to death. I don't really know what made him die, but she bit him and he died.
Mhm.
Blood went everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was when she broke through the window. I think she grabbed him and
Yep.
gnawed on him or whatever a little bit and killed him.
Yep. she bit him and that made him die. But they captured her. They brought her in and they're like, "What? Just kill it. What are you doing?" And Ernie's like, no, and he wants to like study it. So they end up putting her on one of those tables.
Examining table.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's just such a surreal, like the whole thing is very surreal, that female zombie. But he basically he figures out that she can understand him.
Why do you eat people?
Not people. Brains.
Brains only.
Yes.
Why?
The pain.
What about the pain?
The pain of being dead. I can feel myself rot.
Eating brains. How does that make you feel?
It makes the pain go away.
That's actually like a sad moment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But this actually creates a bit of a conundrum in the movie. And I know the movie's supposed to be a comedy. It's not taking itself too seriously, but it creates a plot hole point that's it's a bad plot hole, really, in it. Because if these people that are getting killed, such as suicide, where he gets his brains eaten out and he comes back, he wouldn't have any pain because your pain receptors all end in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to say, Soul Assassin, yes, the special effects in this movie are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good. As far as that, Tommy, I just think these zombies are different because it's like they still have a functioning brain when they come back, because they're able to talk, and so that's definitely higher level brain function. So I could see that there would be pain reception in the brain still.
But I'm talking about the people that have had their brains eaten and they come back.
Oh, do we see any that have had their brains eaten that come back? I don't think we do.
I don't know. I don't think or the guy that dies by the tar man, he doesn't come back.
What about Trash?
We don't
Trash
see
was
her.
just eaten.
Trash
We
gets.
Yeah, we don't see her brain getting eaten. We see that she kind of they engulf her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when she does come back, her head is still intact.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although, shouldn't she have had bite marks all over her body?
That's what you'd think.
No.
I mean, yeah.
No, Vinny, stop.
And this one too. She got no lips. So how was she able to speak the way she was speaking? She wouldn't even be able to say brains. Brains. What? Brains. It's just a pain. What?
Well, how does Tarman have a tongue?
Exactly. He shouldn't have any of that either. And those
So
googly
I
eyes.
mean, yeah. So I mean, I don't think we really should like.
Yeah, take logic out of it.
Yeah, we shouldn't be looking for science in this movie.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Sorry, I'm still approaching it like Ernie would.
Oh, and we forgot. Remember how we mentioned the half dog or whatever being alive? When they were going through there, the butterflies on the case too were also alive as well.
Yes, that's right.
Basically, anything that is dead, it kind of brings back to life.
Yeah, that's wild. So like everything comes back.
Yeah,
that's wild. So yeah, Frank and Freddie are so meanwhile after all that, Frank and Freddie are like really in a lot of pain, and Freddie's like, he's like, I think, oh, how did he put it? I think did he ask Tina? I think he said oh no, that was after. Okay, so they decide to put Frank and Freddie in the chapel to lock them in there because they realize that they're going to turn into zombies, and that's going to
Well,
be bad.
by that point that they were going through rigor mortis.
Yes, that's right. That's right. They discovered, because that whole thing with the pooling of the blood, Ernie realized, okay, rigor mortis is setting in because Freddie starts saying how he's getting an awful headache, his arms and legs are cramping, his stomach is cramping, and all that stuff. So that's rigor mortis. So yeah, they decide to put Frank and Freddie in the chapel to lock them away for their safety. And Tina can't leave Freddie's side, so she goes in the chapel with him. And the cool thing is, on the outside of the chapel, as you're walking in, it says, "We Chapel of the Dawn," and then it shows that like after Freddie wigs out. After Freddie wigs out and goes after Tina, he's like, I think I know what can end my pain. Your brains. And he starts like going after Tina. They decide to rescue Tina and get her out. And you can see at the top of the chapel on the inside, it says, "Beyond this fleeting day, a rest from which no man wakes." So like as you're going in, it's the dawn. And as you're walking out, it's like the death. It's like a forever night. It's death. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of detail is really good.
Yeah. And so Bert decides to take one of the cop cars that are abandoned outside. And him and Spider, like they drive off and they go back to the medical supply place, and Frank and Tina escape to the attic.
Yep. Frank also goes to the crematorium too, because he ends up putting himself out of his misery, basically.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean Frank. I meant Ernie and Tina.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Frank ends up putting himself in the cremation chamber, and that was sad.
Yeah, he was fighting it the whole time. Like he didn't want to. He knows what was happening, so he wanted to just end himself as quickly as possible. And he takes off his wedding ring and he puts it like on the switch, and he prays for a second and then just kind of throws himself in there.
Yeah, that was heavy because he like kneels down and he says, "Forgive me," and he cremates himself, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Not realizing that that's actually like contributing to the problem of he thought he was doing the right thing,
and then is resurrected in the sequel as a different character.
That's like the Asian guy in Hatchet.
Yep.
That's awesome. So I said Frank and Tina. That was my bad. I meant Ernie and Tina. They're hiding in the attic to try and get away from Freddie. And Freddie's like, Tina, let me in. So they're freaking out. And Bert and Spider make it to the medical supply place, and they're in, and they need to get to the phone to call for more help, and I can't remember her name, but a couple of them say like, no, there's something in there, you can't go in there, talking about the basement, like there's and he's like, well, I don't care, and he's like, well, give me a bat, I'll knock his block off. So he gets a bat, and that's how he takes Tarman out. He just absolutely just like a baseball, just takes his head off.
Yep.
And I hated that because I like Tire Man.
hmm Well, his body's still alive, so like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, his body and head are still.
That looked
Like-
good. The way that they did the
Mhm.
body like that was, it was interesting, man. That was cool.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so he makes it to the phone and he decides to call the 1-800 number on the side of the barrel
Mhm.
which is the number to the Army, and they put him in contact with Colonel Glover on the West Coast. And they show earlier in the movie that the Army and Colonel Glover, like they've been looking for these barrels for the past 14 years.
Yep.
Yeah, so finally and he's like taking down all the notes of what Bert is telling him and everything, and then next we see Colonel Glover. He reports into someone and says that he got a call from Louisville, Kentucky, and everything that happened and all that. And he says the problem is the eggs have hatched.
Mhm.
And when then they show Bert getting off the phone, and Bert's like, they had a contingency plan for this the whole time. So I thought that was interesting.
hmm
Yeah.
And next we see the Army sending out like what do you call it? Like
A telegram or whatever, or like
those numbers.
yeah,
Yeah, the numbers to where to send the bomb
coordinates.
The coordinates. Thank you.
Yes.
And then and the last thing we see, next thing we see is the bomb go out and then it hits the.
Well, wasn't
right-
Bert still holding the phone?
That's when, yeah, he was actually. He had like the phone like down by his chest, and he's like, "Do you hear something?" And that's when we hear like the whistle of the bomb, and then all of a sudden, we see the huge explosion,
Mhm.
and the blast like takes the roof off houses and stuff. There's like a huge blast radius, and then we see basically the end of the movie.
Spectacular results, sir. Well, there have been complaints about burning skin, but I shouldn't worry. Minor irritation, General. The rain will wash everything away. That's correct, sir. All should be back to normal by morning. Yes, sir, I understand the President will visit Louisville tomorrow. No, we wouldn't want that to happen, sir. No, sir, this hasn't been very pleasant for anyone. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Hell yeah.
The end.
Yeah. Which they just reused
you know,
the clip
I'm
from
really-
earlier.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
really just disappointed, Tina. You skipped over that wonderful love scene that was in the movie.
Trina, what love scene?
The love scene between Freddie and Tina, right?
Oh, the embrace before he
he's
turns.
like saying, "But I love you. You gotta
Oh.
let me in so I can eat your brains."
Mhm.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. The way he's like Tina, and then it echoes like Tina, Tina, Tina.
Mhm.
Yeah. That-
Trash gets resurrected at
And then-
one point too, and kills a hobo and helps them bring the extra cops. He uses a trap. Oh yeah.
Hey, Papa Con. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey, Papa, you came in at the best part.
Mhm. Hell yeah.
Yep. So that's that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so Soul Assassin's question about slow or fast zombies. And I think I prefer slow zombies, the kind of, the ones that just shuffle and are dumb. Basically, like Walking Dead zombies.
Yep.
But I do understand why they would want to kind of change things up and make fast zombies, because it makes it more of a challenge for the humans. So,
Yeah,
and
but-
like when you have the that's okay. when you have the slow zombies, it's more of a kind of tale about humans surviving other humans, and the zombies are kind of like a metaphor.
Hmm.
But with the fast zombies, the zombies actually are the enemy.
Hmm.
So I can understand why they did the fast zombies for this movie.
Well, I think it kind of there's a reason to actually say there could be a possibility of that. So with something that's already decayed, obviously it's not going to move as fast because all the ligaments and everything else are damaged by that point. But if something is freshly turned, why wouldn't it be able to move that fast?
That's the argument
Yeah.
I would have too, because normally I don't want fast zombies, unless, like you said, it's a fresh kill, it's a fresh turn, or whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it. Then they can move quicker, but never go full World War Z zombie.
No.
That to me is ridiculous on every level.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Where they use each other to climb up there.
Yeah.
Like what the
Like,
hell?
and that movie had potential to be something really amazing,
Mhm.
but like there's too much of it upset me. It's
Yeah.
like, no, that doesn't make any kind of sense. Especially if
I
they try
also-
to using science in there as well. It's like, okay, well then why would you do the mistakes that you're doing right now?
Mhm.
Frankie knows prefers some moonwalking zombies. Hee hee.
I also like the slow zombies too, because like as like a survivor, you like, if you're not paying attention to your surroundings, like, yeah, they're slow, but
Mhm.
they're gonna sneak up on you, and like you're less, so you kind of have to have like a situational awareness,
Yeah.
like, because if not, then they'll overwhelm you and you're kind of SOL.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you still have to have some survival know-how. Like you have to be
Mhm.
quiet and
Yeah.
Mhm.
you have to actually like not be an idiot to survive in a zombie apocalypse.
I think that's the thing, though. Most people are idiots.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like most people are completely unaware of their surroundings at any time. That's why you get people like playing on their cell phones and walking out into traffic.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, that's actually true. I think the amount of people that would actually survive a zombie apocalypse is very low.
Mhm.
We should find out in a couple months.
Mhm.
Just saying.
Yeah. And yeah, is so we were talking about. Oh yeah, the chemical, that Darrow chemical that was responsible for this stuff, and the cover up that went with it and everything like that. And then we started to talk about City of Venus, how that had parallels to like that certain time in 2019 where they discovered something.
Mm-hmm.
The virus in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is interesting, yeah, because like I put a lot of different like science type stuff into that book, and like I'll be showing more of that world in the sequels and kind of like how we got to a certain point, but because they're not, what I have in my book isn't necessarily zombies, but they're more of like these failed experiments. But it's almost along the lines of that type of stuff, and the people who are trying to do something else and they accidentally, made this like this gas or this serum or something that turned these people. There was something that made it happen, like in those movies and in that world. You know,
Mhm.
Yep.
who was behind it? It was military. It was people trying to do something else. So like, I thought it was like there's definitely some interesting stuff, but you know, the powers that be and what would ultimately happen should they get their way. It's like, okay, so she destroyed everything. Where do we go from there?
Yeah. For real. Because when I first read your comic, City of Venus, I was like, he had to have written this during that time because the parallels were just uncanny.
But it wasn't. I wrote it in like early 2000s.
Yeah, I know. I was really
Wow.
surprised when you told me that.
Yeah. Yep.
Then he predicted
Yeah,
the
it's
future.
great. I found one of my old books too. Because it's that type of stuff. It's like, what would these people do? They're in these positions of power, and they look at us like we're nothing. You know, we're just these numbers to them. And how do most of them think? Well, they think that like we're just we're useless extra mouths on the earth for them. So what would they do?
Yep.
You know, what are some of the things that they would do? It would be wars. It would be coming up with these kind of bio weapons or attacks, those type of things, and that's how I kind of developed that story. You know, it's kind of off of that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot more involved, and don't worry, folks, the sequel is coming. It's just it's a lot of work, and I'm one man.
Frankie Nose says, slow zombies, pro, you get a chance to survive. Con, they're dangerous in large numbers. Yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Pump Noir, I'll get eaten in maybe 0.3 seconds. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, now this movie, so I already mentioned how it kind of stole the thunder of Day of the Dead, which kind of makes me sad because Day of the Dead, I love that movie. But the people chose this one, and you know, it definitely it's a great movie.
How far apart were the releases between those movies?
Okay, so this one came out in August of 1985, and let's see. I thought Day of the Dead. Okay, so Day of the Dead was a month earlier.
Oh wow.
So Day of the Dead had definitely a chance, but people preferred Return of the Living Dead instead.
Huh. It was that dance scene.
Oh yeah.
See?
Sex sells, baby.
Yeah, I'm surprised because Night of the Living Dead was such a success.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff I loved in this movie, I love the music. One of my favorite bands is in it. Not in it, but the music is in it. The Cramps.
Okay.
And this psychobilly horror music in it. I love that. That's some of my favorite music.
Awesome.
But
it worked. Every time they kind of used the music to help with the scenes, it complemented it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the punks that they had in the movie, they were fans of punk too.
Nice.
Yep. I actually went over that in the beginning. It did well.
Yeah, for 85, those are good numbers. Really good numbers.
I know it's not the soundtrack for this one, but the sequel has Flesh to Flesh in it, which is really good too.
Nice.
I like that song. It's definitely super 80s.
There's some so I was looking up some facts about the movie, some funny facts and stuff. And in the film, so the release for the theaters and stuff had the back of Freddy's jacket said F you. But but to have it on TV, they couldn't have that on the jacket, so they changed it to a television version. They actually wrote that on the jacket for TV.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that.
Holy shit.
And what else? There was something else in it. Oh yeah. I already went over the fact that it created the brains trope. Yeah, and Tarman looks different depending on what version you get.
Oh, really?
It sounds different as well. Yeah. I guess the latest Scream box or Shout Factory. Yeah, I think that one has what he sounded like the original version.
Okay.
Because I guess the original, he was like high pitched and gurgly.
Okay.
I prefer. I can't imagine him sounding that way. I like the way he sounded on the Tubi version. And then so we talked about fast or slow zombies. Like, this was the first movie to ever have fast zombies in it. Yeah, so it created two tropes. Well, I guess it's not a trope, but the brains trope, and then it created fast zombies because they weren't any fast zombies until this movie.
That's
And
interesting.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And then the brains that they were, this is going to blow your mind and kind of make you sick, but the brains that they were eating were real brains. They're obviously not human, but
Sheep?
calf brains.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ugh. Ooh.
Oh, it was really
I
what?
don't-
2 scenes? 2 or 3 scenes?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. But the cool thing is that the director, he actually he ate some of the calf brains as well, because he didn't want to ask them to do it unless he was willing to do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like he joined, and I thought that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like, like some in Hollywood would be like, I'm not stooping to that level. That's your job.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, I agree. Soul Assassin, gross. I wonder if any of them ended up with mad cow disease.
And monkey's brains, though popular in Cantonese cuisine, are not often to be found in Washington, D.C.
No brains could be found in Washington, D.C.
Oh, apparently, it says with the voice for him, it's been re-recorded. However, the original Tarman voice can be heard briefly during the closing credits sequence.
Oh, okay.
And then I put on the VHS rip from YouTube in the private as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so that's some cool stuff about the movie. I really enjoyed it, and I'm probably gonna see if I can get a copy of it. And Soul Assassin, I see you dropping all the links. Thank you so much. You're always so great at that.
Hell yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Good people.
Yep.
Yeah, so is there anything else that you guys wanted to touch on with the movie?
I don't think so.
I think that's about it.
Yeah. We had some good stuff.
All
there.
right.
Other than trash, I like trash.
So, we were talking, what movie was it that we were gonna do, the original and the remake?
Crazies. The Crazies.
Crazies.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you want to do that next week?
Yeah, we could do that. If you want to do more zombie themed stuff, yeah, I'm down with that.
If that's okay with you guys, that's fine with me. I didn't have a pick for next week.
Okay.
So, yeah, Tommy, you on board with that?
Yeah, it should be as long as everything's still working. The
Okay.
Internet and everything else.
All right. And Draven, you too?
I have to work, but you guys are more than welcome to do that.
Oh, okay. Sucks you won't be here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so yeah, join us next week for a review of The Crazies, the original and the remake. And I wanna thank everybody in the chat for coming. I really appreciate it, and thank you to anyone who watches on the replay. Thank you as well, and thank all you guys for being here with me tonight to review this.
Oh yeah, great time.
So, thanks. All right, Draven. So tell them where to find you.
Oh yeah, so you can find me here on YouTube. We're doing the wrestling tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. We're watching tonight's episode of Dynamite. It's the road to Double or Nothing, which is this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be watching that as well. So thanks for having me. Always a pleasure here watching horror movies with you.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Vinny, tell them where to find you.
Yeah, you can catch me. I'll be headed over to ETEPS as soon as this is done, and then after that, be hanging out with Draven, watching the wrestling stuff. And yeah, if you want to get some of my awesome books and projects, please do. Through the Woods is one sale away from hitting 800 sales. So if you guys want to help out,
Nice.
it's an amazing book. If you're into horror, ghosts, that type of stuff, I think you'll enjoy that one. Hardcover, 100 pages. It's an entire stories right there in one book. Shadow of the Kraken still available as well, and City of Venus, the first one. So yeah, catch up, and you'll be very happy that you did. And go check out my YouTube channel. We should be back on Friday. We might do something tomorrow too, depending if Tommy's internet is okay. If he wants to, or if someone else wants to help out, if Tommy can't make it, we should still be doing a toy stream. So yeah, check it all out. Thank you, Trina, and yeah, thank you everybody who was here watching and everything.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you as well, Vinny. And Tommy, tell them where to find you.
It's just a shame that your guinea pig had to be a homicidal maniac like Jack Frost.
We should be doing the toy stream tomorrow. Hopefully everything is still working the way it should. Yeah, the joys of modern internet that's actually like 1980s bound. But I'll be heading over to Slasher's little while. I forget exactly when he's going to be running. He's going to be running tonight. He's going to be doing a review on another B-rated movie called Rad. I'm not really familiar with this one, so I really can't give you anything about it. But yeah, he's going to do another review on that. We've done a few since he's managed to start coming back again. Maybe eventually he'll be able to find time to be able to stop in for some of these horror things too, because I know he really loves some of the horror genre stuff. And Thursday we should be running Collectible Past. I have stuff prepared for it. It's just a matter of whether or not CenturyLink is going to allow me to use the internet. So it's one of those deals. Fun hanging out with you guys. I'm sorry I was late, but it is what it is. And then of course the microphone problem. So what can you do? There's nothing you can do. Thanks to everybody who stopped in the chat. You guys are amazing. You make the shows fun every single time with your comments. And of course, Soul Assassin for dropping all these links. Man, you're amazing. Thank you for being here.
Legend.
Yes. Thank you, Tommy. Thanks. It's okay. You were late. We understand. Everybody's got stuff. I'm glad you were able to make it. And Shawnee Step, thanks. He's been lurking. Awesome. And He says, great stream. Love to hear it. Thank you. And yeah, I want to thank you, Soul Assassin, for putting out Slash's channel. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having him back. He's a cool dude.
Nice.
So yeah, everybody, hope you all have a good night, and we'll see you here next week, and I'll probably see you guys on chats on other channels as well. So yeah, this was awesome. So yeah, everybody have a great night.